Hi, I'm Luke, and welcome back to the C Files. Um, this week I'm with
Hey, I'm Moss.
Moss, shocker. And we are reviewing a movie of your choice. We're talking about The Devil All the Time, which
It's
came out
really good.
just about a year ago now. Actually, it came out September 2020, I think on the 11th. So that worked out.
Yeah,
Um, you said you really liked this movie, and I was just wondering.
I loved it. Despite its mixed reviews, I personally thought it was amazing. I just loved it. One
Okay.
of one of the reasons it's so good is because it's amazing. Sebastian Stan and Robert Patterson. I loved it.
It does have it has a much just more well-known cast than I would think it would get. It does because it's got it's Bill Skarsgård as well. He
Pennywise.
plays Pennywise, and he's really good in that role.
Really good.
So yeah, I mean I remember when this came out, I wasn't I wasn't pumped about it, but I was interested. Remember the trailer. It's intriguing. It's an intriguing movie, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those films I feel like the trailer's better than the film. Controversial opinion. Actually, not very controversial. But the trailer is very good, and I was beyond hyped. And I feel like, how many stars would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5.
Yeah, out of 5.
I'd give it like a 3.5.
I'd give it at least a 4. I loved it. So I feel like one of the things that makes it so compelling is its twisted storyline, and I felt like that really gripped me.
I mean it is an interesting thing I found. So this is I don't know if you might know this. This is based off a book. It's of the same name, Devil All the Time, and that I think is part of the reason why I didn't love it.
Why?
Because and I know that sounds kind of weird, but I feel like certain stories work really well, and I haven't read the book, but it's seemingly a pretty good book. And I feel like certain stories work really well as books,
I know what you
but
mean.
don't translate into the screen as well.
I feel like I totally agree because with like the multiple storylines and like plot lines spanning several decades, I felt like that would work a lot better as a book in different sections and stuff.
Yeah, I know, because like this movie, it's a slog. It's incredibly long, and it pulls it off better than I would have expected it to. I will give it that. It's very good. It's not. I don't think it's particularly melodic at any point. I never found it dull. But it's certain stories. Like I remember, I haven't seen it, but you know, Call of the Wild, that movie that
Oh, I
came out.
love Call of the Wild. No, I watched and read White Fang, which is like the sister book, but I loved it. Yeah, it's really good.
If you say it's great, but I'm sorry, I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I mean, if you've read the book, it's a book that you just, it's not it shouldn't be a movie, you know, it's not, as much as I love it, I didn't want to see the movie just because it's not a book that translates, at least I thought, to film. But if you say it's so good,
I
I
felt
mean,
like the book was a lot better, but I just thought it was a good film. Like it wasn't amazing, but it was good. And yeah, but I personally like. It's like, oh my god, the film's not as good, and like every single time. And obviously, if you've read the book and put that much time and dedication into the book, you're going to prefer the book. That is me. And yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Like there are, no, and I admit there are definitely books that do translate well to film. Like I mean, the It movies, for example, like those are books that they were very well translated to film, and the Harry Potter franchise, of course, and stuff like that.
Amazing. I felt
it,
like the Hunger Games was
Hunger Games, like just stuff like that. There are things that can be translated. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to adapt things. I'm just saying that certain things I feel like are um maybe better left as just books, and I feel like whilst this movie does um is able to do its best, it does what it can with the subject material. I don't think this is anyone in particular's fault. I just think as a movie it's hard to just translate. Because it's if they cut it down and they remove some parts, and it could be like a really good movie in my opinion, and added some beats in. It's just I think that
I feel
it
like it could have been good as a mini series.
that I can imagine actually. Yeah, a
I feel like
miniseries
it
it
could have been really
working really
good.
well.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
what are your other points, Luke?
I mean, that's kind of. I mean, there's not again. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, again, I'm probably gonna be talking about throughout this next bit. A lot throughout the podcast. Like what it does well, and this movie does really well. It's just
Does a lot well.
it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for me. It just feels kind of. Eh. Again, though, that's just my opinion. Like, it's it seemed. I remember, I was trying to think why I didn't particularly love it because I remember I know it's got mixed reviews in, but none of them really try to. Sometimes I'll read reviews just to see maybe this person was able to identify what I particularly love about it, and I briefly thought it might be the fact that it's just its devotion to depravity, but some of my favorite movies do that. Hateful Eight is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, and that movie is doing things deliberately to make it a harder punch, but
So you mean shock value?
it's not shock value, just to make it like a harder thing to watch. Like
I know
not
what
in a
you
gritty
mean.
way, but just small details that when it happens, you're just like, oh god, even more. And this movie does the same thing, and
I feel like
I
they
think
weren't
it does
trying
that
to do
well.
that because I felt like it was dark tone, but they handled it quite sophisticatedly.
Mm.
Like I don't feel like they seriously did it like badly. I thought the characters like they showed their motives as like in its truest form. Like that was at least that's my opinion, but.
I
Yeah.
think and I know, I mean, it's kind of hard to make a movie called The Devil All the Time without it being, you know, more than a little depressing to put
It was
it.
depressing. The film wasn't depressing. It was just really dark.
It's bleak.
Bleak. Yeah, it is bleak. It is bleak. But it had quite a hopeful ending.
I don't know, actually. I kind of
The
interpreted
like,
that
him
because I'm
returning
imagining. Sorry, what were you saying?
into a what do you call it? Him returning into a not like when people like ride like a ride from someone else.
What?
Oh, but he had a bad experience when he accepted a ride from another person.
Yeah.
But then he went in again and he started sleeping, and it was like a really light colors, which was just like his journey, I guess, back into like hopeful after killing Sebastian Stan.
I actually think this is a really interesting thing because this actually is really interesting to me because I'm presuming because it shows when he's at the very ending when he's falling asleep. There's a shot he thinks of joining the army, and he thinks of starting a family, and it seems to me that you think he took the route of starting a family.
No, I think he joined the army to be like his dad.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a happy ending then, because if he ends up like his dad, it's just the cycle of like it's a repetition. Maybe like it could be interpreted as well, this happened to his father, and his father was in a war, and then he died, and then he was an orphan, and then whatnot, and then he joined the army, and then in Vietnam, which I think a lot of people who fought like will mention was like just as bad in some senses as being in Japan in World War II. Like maybe he sees something horrifically violent, comes back like a shell of a person, and you know,
I
the
think
cycle continues.
goes to maybe returns to God, but I feel like he would have learned his lesson from his father because
Well, I don't think he would, because he seems to respect his father. He still like he still and does the same things his father does when there's this thing of when he saw his father beat up men for admittedly being assholes, but like just saying stuff, not doing anything, like, and he beat the heck out of them. And then you see that Tom Holland's character with some characters who are maybe more deserved beating up, he beats the heck out of them, like
yeah,
I don't think he's learned his lesson from his father, because he seems to still respect his father and listen to what he does.
that is true. I feel like that kind of cycle. I feel like we should go and talk about some of the other, because it's a film of multiple character arcs, like all going on at the same time. We should talk about like each character arc. So I think we should speak about Roy Lafferty, also known as Dudley Dursley, also
Who's
the one that puts spiders on his face.
Yeah, that's an interest. I don't know. That's another one of those
He's a very
things.
interesting character. I very much liked. Like, he's a horrible person, but it was very like interesting. Like, what happened?
I don't think he's a horrible person. I just think he's insane.
He is insane, and I think he is the darkest character arc in the show, I'd say. Like,
You think?
no. Like how he begins. So this person,
I don't think he starts out that well either. Like, he's still kind of crazy.
He is crazy. Like, he's the one that was.
He gets worse, but he starts out crazy.
So what do you think? So this preacher that is trying to convince everyone that he's more than human, he can put spiders on his face.
I don't think he's trying to convince that. I think he's trying to convince that God will protect him. He's not. God saved him. I don't think he's trying to show that he's more than human, because.
And then he was bitten, and I think that's when he, in his mind, the delusion that God is with him. And what did you think of that moment? We all know that moment. That moment really made me gasp, where in a fit of delusion, he believes that he can resurrect his wife, so he kills her, but sadly she isn't resurrectable. What happened?
I mean, it was one of the, because I think they set up that something's gonna happen to her. Something's going to happen to her, and I think it's interesting what they do with it, because I know that I definitely didn't remember that, and that was something that I remember stood out to me now.
I remember that when I think of this movie, I think of.
No, I know she died, but I didn't remember why he killed her.
Oh yeah.
That was interesting, and I think it's kind of like, it's weird. He kind of makes me think of like a drug addict, like, because for example, how he.
Yeah.
So he does that, and it seems like he's briefly lost faith in God, at least to a point. So that's happened, but then he gets kidnapped by the serial killers. I can't remember the names, are the ones who drive around in their car and take pictures.
Yeah, those
gets picked
absolute psychopaths.
Yeah, he gets picked up by them, and then he briefly is spared. He briefly thinks he's spared, and he immediately just kind of goes back to this image of God. It seems like it's not a consideration. He's he just it seems it's all he knows, if you will,
Yeah.
Yeah, thing is, none of these characters are in any way redeemable, except all the redeemable characters are killed.
Yeah.
Except maybe the grandparents.
The grandparents are sweet. They're the only characters that are killed. No, that are not killed and are believers in God. All the other believers in God are killed. That was interesting.
No, they believe in God though, because they go to church and all that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they believe everyone believes in God in this movie.
No. The crazy couple definitely don't believe in God.
No, I think because it talks about how in his sick delusion, the male thinks of this as his only way to connect with God. So he does believe in him
Oh yeah.
in a sick and twisted way, but he does believe in him.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, yeah, it's just, and I do think, and maybe it's just the small town kind of feel of the movie. It does kind of pull some, maybe it does exaggerate some things, because the movie's set in 65.
Yeah.
My grandfather was alive in 65. It was in that
So
kind of area. It's not that. It's it's better than this. It's not like unbelievable, but it's not like it is now. But all these towns, it seems that they don't seem. It seems like they don't change from the 40s at all. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean because it doesn't. There's no technology, but that is kind of small town America.
No, I know, and there is a level of that, there's no. It doesn't feel like there's any change between Bill Skarsgård's life and then Tom Holland's part of the movie. There feels to be no. It feels that they might as well have just been characters living at the same time. There's no discernible thing to tell us, oh, this is this and this is this,
Yeah.
But again, with all of my complaints, it could just be linked back to the point that it's the devil all the time. It's all the time. It's the whole.
Yeah.
And how the characters, all the good characters are killed. Actually, most people are killed. I'm just looking at the top bill people. They're all dead except Tom Holland.
What do you think also of what do you think of what are they called? Yeah. What is your opinion?
Of the what?
The preacher.
He
Twilight Boy, whatever he is.
Yeah, Rob Patterson. The guy who's gonna be Batman.
Cedric Diggory.
Yeah. I just want to say, no disrespect, Robert Patterson. I'm looking forward to your Batman movie. We're gonna review on the podcast. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like he's just and again, not Robert Patterson's fault. He's a very two-dimensional character. I think
he's very complex in this.
You think? I mean, I just think.
Actually, no. Thinking about it, he is totally one-dimensional. You don't see multiple sides, multiple facets, multiple. You don't see behind the facade, if you get what I mean.
But he does stuff that isn't even. And again, maybe it might be because the only the only hint to any characterization is in the narration where it said that he was so happy that his mother had told him to be a preacher, and he loved the power he had over people. So the only thing I could imagine him doing this thing is as a weird power thing, because he does malicious deeds.
He is totally despicable, if you ask me. He literally goes around abusing his power. And I feel like the one scene that just shocked me was when he gaslighted the
sister,
the sister, into not telling anyone and her feeling the guilt and eventually accidentally committing suicide, which is so sad. I really loved her character, and that is another scene that shocked me, is her dark death.
I mean, but I know, and I get that, but he feels more like the shark from Jaws in that he's just the incarnation of villainy. He's not a character. He's just a villain. Not in I don't mean that in a Vincent Price way. He's just a villain. He's just bad.
Yeah.
There's no because most of the characters, they're bad, but there's a level of realism to them, if you will. He doesn't feel like he kind of feels a little tacked on, and I'm sure he's in the book, and maybe it's just that he's a bigger part in the book, but he, at least to me, he
I felt
felt
like he was quite badly written. Some other like they could have written him better.
I think he's just as a character, you either have to go all or nothing. You have to give us everything on him, or just don't put him in the movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I just feel like his death really served no meaning.
His death, yeah, I mean, even his death, which is kind of is like set up as a big thing, feels very just.
Yeah, it felt really just like boring. I felt like there could have been something more.
Yeah.
Like, they could have made him even more villainous than he really is. And yeah, I thought he's a really good character. And R.I.P. the sister.
I mean, I think there's a lot of movie because so I feel like the whole kind of theme of this is the poisoning kind of small town America. Like even at the very very beginning, it kind of like it does kind of feel like you could be watching a movie that everything could go great, you know?
Yeah, no, never. The beginning began.
No, I mean the bit where he's in the cafe. That feels like it could just go into a nice movie.
Yeah, it gave me When Harry Met Sally vibes.
But okay.
Could have been.
But like a movie that I feel that does that better. I've been doing a lot of research for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Have you seen it or heard of it?
I have never seen. It's too for my liking. No, it's not gory. I just watched the scene. It just made.
It's not gory. It's just gross.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like gross, just really gross. Like
Which is funny because it doesn't show that much. I think it's just well done in emoting that kind of just feeling to you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It makes you feel very uncomfortable and patronized, like when the dude's just walking, even when he's just walking around, it's like
But in that movie, what it does really, really well is it's really good at giving, and it's not preachy, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's very good at subtly referencing all these small things about how America's changed. So that movie, that movie, it discusses the kind of themes of just a changing America. It discusses the death of 50s optimism and into like a birth of a more depraved time, which kind of was the 70s. And I kind of feel like this movie would hit harder, and the movie hits best when it shows, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre does, it knows its audience knows, because when it came out, it came out in the 70s. It knows the people watching it know a good time, and they know what's changed just from the news, and then it plays off this. But with this movie, I feel like it would have needed to show the good times, because again, no one watching this most likely was alive 60 years ago, or at least like no 80, but you know, old enough to like think about these things. No 80-year-old people, not a lot of 80-year-old people are watching this movie. That's just not the demographic for it.
The demographic I would say is 30 to 40, but
like it's not. So I feel like it just needs to discuss. It needs to show us the good times, so we can then parallel it to the good times.
That is actually so, like, I so agree. They could have shown maybe, like, I don't know, how could they have shown the good times, though?
But, like, just a few scenes in the beginning of, when it does it, I think it is a really good movie. Like, when he's buying a house, and that's all, like, fun, and he's got an optimistic wife, and he's happy, and even when they meet, it's a very happy scene, and even the serial killer's in a good mood, so like something going right. So I just feel like when it does show those things, it hits harder when things go wrong, you know?
Yeah.
But that's just how I think. Another thing I thought was, I mean, again, what I mentioned, despite not loving this movie, it does a lot of stuff well, and at the end of the day, it's just not my cup of tea. But I thought it was
What is your
cool.
cup of tea? What is your cup of tea?
I don't know. My cup of tea
You
is.
love everything.
I like a lot of stuff. I have a very weird variety of movies. I mean, I just like. It's weird. Uh, I have this weird obsession with I like movies that I feel like I could exist in the world of. And my top three aren't gonna suggest that. My favorite movie is 2001, which
Yeah.
but I feel like the openings always felt very homey to me, and I love The Breakfast Club. I love John Hughes movies; those always feel homey and not homey,
Like
homey.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
I've also and just like westerns in general. I think I know that John Hughes didn't do westerns, but I think westerns are a genre I like as well. But this movie, it just feels like it's jumping around a little too much.
I know what you mean. It feels very, like it feels like it goes around like just it. I know what you mean. It's not very consistent.
Yeah.
Not very.
But I think, and this is one thing it handles really well, is I think the character's relationship with God. That's that's possibly one of the best parts of the movie. How it discusses, just the different relationships with God. Like, as you mentioned, the preacher's belief in like how God will give you protection. And then there's the serial killer's belief that he can only access religion through this certain way, and how Robert Patterson's character believes in not entirely hinted that he believes in God, but it's more that I think a thing where he believes in God as a power to be wielded, and then he uses that power over townspeople.
Yeah.
I think just the movie's relationship with God is interesting, and the bit that makes it the best of that is that the narrator, who I don't know is the writer, is the writer of the book.
That's what I realized. The guy, the guy, he is speaking, and I only just realized, and he was also the writer was born in Knockemstiff, which is.
That's a real place.
Yeah, I thought it was fictional as well. I thought it was like.
And I was like,
Anderson, but
a place called Knockemstiff. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
What do you think of the influences on this film, just like filmmaking and stuff?
I mean, I think there's a bit of I mentioned it's probably maybe they definitely watched Texas Chainsaw. I mean, it's not a massive. It's not this type of movie is not something I watch a lot. So I wouldn't know maybe what they're calling to. It reminded me a little bit of The Witch.
I have actually never seen The Witch. I love films like that, but I've never seen it.
I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it reminded me in how it's a character just stuck in a situation. Like the town feels like there's nowhere to go. It feels like that's it. That's it. The town is just like and we never go outside the town until the ending, and the very beginning where we show in Japan, which I don't want to go there either. But it feels like an island almost, you know?
I know what you mean. Like, it almost feels shut up from the world.
Yeah.
Shut off from the world.
Yeah, so there's that. And I know this is definitely not an influence because this came out this year, but it also made me kind of think of. Have you seen the Fear Street movies on Netflix?
Sadly, not.
I mean, I love those. I was actually going to do like an in-depth video on them on the YouTube channel, and then I found out Netflix is cutting down on copyright and that stuff. So
really,
oh yeah, you get like people getting strikes and stuff. So I'm like, I don't think my channel can survive that. So we're not doing that anytime soon. Unfortunately,
But this is Netflix as well, just saying.
This is Netflix, but I'm not using any footage, so I should be A-okay. But that's a movie where it is, and it's literally about there being a curse on a town. Like, it is. There's no... This movie, it hints at there being a god. I think there's a quote from the director when he was asked why he included the writer of the book in the movie, and he said he wanted to include the creator, which could either link to the fact that he's just the creator of the story and created the book, but also that the narrator is God, if you will. You know, he's kind of he's a god. He's like he's a very old character, and he seems to know a lot. So who knows? Yeah,
I know what you mean. It almost reminded me a bit of The Crucible.
Remember what that is?
It's about the Salem witch trials.
Yes, that story. I remember what it is now.
Yeah. It reminded me a tiny bit of that.
How so?
It was almost like people that weren't like really into God would be seriously criticized. People almost like neighbors conspiring against neighbor, like that kind of whole mood and tone. Reminded me of that.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it's just a depraved movie from the start to beginning. We haven't talked about this, but if you want to talk about it briefly, the serial killer couple. Sorry.
Yeah,
they're a lot.
They fun characters, like they're quite like crazy, which is.
You think? I don't know.
They're just quite like.
I don't think so, man.
No, they're kind of fun characters, but they're like so like you can't imagine them in real life. Like they're fun.
That's the thing, though, man. I've read out like.
I can't imagine them in real life. Like,
maybe not nowadays, but like in the 70s, there were some sick dudes.
There were some sick people, and we could go into them, but we don't want to get demonetized.
But like in the 70s especially, and I think again, this actually came up. A lot of this stuff came up in my Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff. These dudes feel. If someone told me these were based off real characters, I'd be like, "Yep, that makes sense."
Yeah.
I believe that.
No, but even like the guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's based off a real person. So.
It's okay. Yeah, it's. They say it is. It's very, very loosely based off a real person.
It is very loosely based, but so is the guy. The same. It's based on the same guy as Norman Bates.
Yeah, which kind of gives you a hint. Like when they say that, they're like, "Oh my god, was there a dude with a face mask and a chainsaw?" Nah, there was never any dudes with face masks and chainsaws.
There was a dude. It was with a face mask, but he
didn't have a face mask. He had nipple belts.
Right,
which I'm sorry, it's just a funny thing to say to me.
Funny.
His name was.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, that guy. So basically, if you don't know, he wasn't a mass murderer. He only killed 2 people. 2 more than most of us. But he dug up bodies and uses them to make arts and crafts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, okay, when it's one of those things where like they mention, but these people remind me of certain, like, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was this serial killer in the 70s who, like, he owned a candy factory and he was a wonderful guy, except for the fact that he was kidnapping boys and killing them.
Was that John Wayne Gacy?
No, it's not John Wayne Gacy. But like, yeah, it's just, I think the setting of the 60s is an interesting thing, because it is 65 especially was just before this kind of social upheaval that then proceeded into the 70s. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to imagine. I mean, I think when this movie came out in 62, when this movie set in 62, it's just kind of like a time of depravity, and although I will admit they don't mention it a ton. There's like a few mentions. They mention Vietnam a bit, but they never talk about it that much. They never go into depth. This movie's time period seems more as a background and less as a thing like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. I sadly haven't seen that film.
I'm so sorry. I keep referencing the movie you haven't seen. I should stop.
No, you can reference them. It knows what.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It just doesn't feel like I say that like it doesn't feel like it needs to be set when it is, but then again, it would be really weird if it was. You can't set it now, so it's kind of like when, or you could just do a thing where it's kind of obscure, like in what's this called? Killing Him Softly. That's a movie. That's a movie I think you could draw comparisons to. Which I'm just gonna make a guess and say I haven't seen because it's not a huge movie.
No, I haven't seen it.
But it's another movie of just depravity, in a different way. And it's all about different subjects, but it's depraved.
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, what's up?
So I think he's also actually a very bad character for multiple reasons.
No, he's a villain. He's not a villain, but he's a bad person.
No, he is a villain. He's not like pure villain, but he is a bad person. He sees the photos of what his sister and her boyfriend have done to their victims, and he remember this. He literally covers them up.
But I think it's the thing where he's trying to, and I'm not excusing it, but he's trying to get elected, and that's why he does it. It's not because he's like, ha ha ha. He's doing it because he's worried that if it comes out, he's not going to get elected mayor of a town.
Yeah. Even that is bad in its place. It's like,
no, I'm not saying it's good, but I don't think it's not as bad as ha ha ha. These people got killed by my sister.
Yeah. And then he also nearly killed Tom Holland, which
I don't think is a villain move. I think
he's legal responsibility.
Yeah, he's not necessarily in the wrong for that one.
That is true.
Actually, yeah, that's one of those like gray area things where I'm like, well, he's not a good guy, but he did do a good thing, and he's gonna kill him for doing a good thing. So, but he's an interesting character in that he's just like scared of everything. He's like, because in the beginning when we first introduced him, we introduced him as like when he's in like high school, and he's like, I'm gonna become the mayor of this town. Everyone loves me, and then he's like, it's like 10, 20 years later, and he's sheriff, and he's done a lot of bad things to become sheriff, and he is scared that people are gonna find out.
Yeah, almost like just like sweeping it under the rug, if you know what I mean. But what about, this is a question, who do you think is the best actor / actress / act they them out of all of the people?
I don't think it's. I'm sorry, I'm not great at reviewing actors on that kind of basis. Just because like it depends on what they've done, and maybe like there are actors who I do think are really good but haven't done anything great.
No, I'm talking about just in general, like all of their works. Like
I know that's what I mean, but like there's not. I don't know. There's a lot of these guys. I feel like I just need to watch more of their stuff to say. Like, do you have a favorite actor?
I feel like all of them have like 2 stuff they've been in that everyone knows, and then no one knows them for anything. Like they're not like. I think the one everyone thinks of is Tom Holland.
Yeah, I mean he's the star.
Yeah, he is a true star. Like I think he is the best one out of all of them, definitely. But
yeah, because there's no one I think like the guy who plays the serial killer. I haven't seen it. I've seen like 2 things he's in.
What is he in? He's
in the Pet Sematary movie remake, and he's in this movie with Keira Knightley called Aftermath, which, and like both of the movies are fine, and he's not like unbelievable in them. He's good, but he's not unbelievable. But I still like him. I just really like him as an actor. I think he's like a cool.
Yeah.
Team's relatively cool. So I don't know. It's just that's a hard question, I think, to answer.
What about Robert Patterson? What's your opinion on him?
I like him. I think
I really like him.
he got a bad rap with his Twilight movies.
Yeah, now he's almost like a meme, if you get what I mean.
I don't know. He actually, I think he
he is
kind
a
of
meme.
reinvented himself with all these like all the more art house movies. I think
Like
it
The
is cool how
Lighthouse.
he just went and did all those after Twilight.
But he's almost just like he's like what's it called? Like Justin Bieber. Like he's one of those things that like teenage girls are obsessed with, like
Maybe like 10 years ago, but
fangirls, like bad rap for that.
yeah. I'm
And I feel
just
bad for
waiting
that.
for the 4 movies he's most recommended for on IMDb to at least one of them be Batman.
Yeah. When is that Batman movie coming out?
It was supposed to come out this year. It's now been pushed back to 2022. I know we're getting a trailer for it. We're going to get another trailer for it this October at DC Fandom. So we might also get a release date then.
Yeah.
I remember filming was shut down like 6 months ago, but I still presume they've probably wrapped it by now. I have no idea when that movie's coming out. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh wow, the budget on it's amazing. It's literally mad.
What we doing? What they working with?
100 million.
Impressive. I mean, they got I'm gonna go see it, so
Yeah.
got my ticket. My $5 will help them out. All right. If you good, or we said everything you want to say. All right.
I think we
did it.
I think we've done it.
All right.
Guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Socials. If you have any socials you want to talk about.
So my social is at Moss Heatherwick. That's my social media, my Instagram. Only on that. So yeah. So if you want to follow that, follow it. So yeah. What about you?
The C Files is just we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we use Anchor, so I think they put us on other stuff, so if they're putting us on other stuff, you can listen to us there.
Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
We're not there yet, we're working on it. I'm bad at updating Spotify, so if you're watching this on YouTube, it is probably on Spotify, but I can't make any promises. But it's definitely on YouTube, and we have a lot of other stuff on YouTube. We have like more. We talk about the movies, but it's all researched videos where there's research, and because most of these videos, these are just our opinions. This one, that's less opinionated, and more of just a critical thinking of the movie. So if you're more interested in that, and those are a lot shorter than these, if you're interested in that, go check those out. Yeah. But if that is it, I think we can just say that I'm Luke and
I'm Moss. So yeah, go follow me on Instagram.
And this has been the C Files podcast.
Bye.
Hi, this is Luke. If you like that video, please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications about new videos.